All right, are we ready?
Yeah.
Daisy Buchanan.
God, baby.
Daisy Buchanan. The Grander Logan. Title. Even the most painful memories lose their edge eventually. Perhaps that explained why, barely 3 years after the unpleasantness in West Egg, Tom and I found ourselves at the most lavish party Manhattan had ever seen before or since. My dear lost Jay Gatsby's parties were extravagant. But Mr. Logan's parties were rumored not only their equal, they were in Manhattan, ergo they actually meant something. The top 5 floors of the plaza sprouted acrobats from the rafters, Ellingtons and Callaways from its stages, and socialites from its dance floors. The topmost floor housed exclusively gilded quarters from which trickled down only the most hushed of whispers. I insisted on meeting our mysterious host. Several lovely, perfect strangers pointed me towards him. He stood on the balcony, staring down Central Park as if it were prey for him to master. The way his brutish nose actively scented the air suggested that it was. "Charming party," I sang to his arched back. I saw his nostrils flare briefly. He did not turn around. "We haven't met. I'm Mrs. Daisy Days," he growled.
Oh.
Only one man ever called me by that nickname. He turned to me. My height, or perhaps shorter, resplendent in a white silk tuxedo that creased as if he'd spent more time crouching than standing. Feral black scruff poked from his shirt collar and cuffs, barely more man than animal. My head swam with recognition and sudden, desperate longing. James Wolfe? But it's Mr. Logan now. And you're Mrs. Buchanan. Yes, of the Chicago Buchanan. Huh. He snorted, raising a bushy eyebrow. "You don't smell married." He knew. Even before I did. Like a tiger that knows when his mates take heat, my loins flamed like a Roman candle in a bonfire. "Come with me," he growled. He brushed past me into the ballroom. I followed like a lost child going home. Pursuing him across that magnificent expanse, I recalled my heady debutante days in Louisville. Barely weeks after bidding adieu to darling Gatsby, I met Private James Wolfe, United States Marine Corps, in our overflow medical center, suffering severe head trauma from fighting overseas. He had lost his memory. I sought to bring new worlds to this weakened tabula rasa of a man and provide comfort. I called him my little Wolf Marine. As his strength returned, the more comfort I provided. Our heated couplings threatened to melt the Kentucky winter. The party's blare cut sharply as Logan closed the door behind us. He dragged me past connected suites, housing a host of randy celebrity debaucheries. I saw Babe Ruth interfere with Mary Pickford as a slobbering bulldog might mount a sparrow. Nearby, a dusky Josephine Baker strangled Al Jolson with a bullwhip. On the divan, heavyweight Jack Dempsey used his famous fists on a gaily humming Fatty Arbuckle in a way I would have thought, if not impossible, at least painful. Logan pulled me up a grimy flight of stairs, and I remember his hands, savage vices sporting curious ridges of hard bone just above his knuckles. One of his uglier aspects that drove me wild. We emerged alone to the brisk air of the plaza's 20-story roof. Lights twinkled about us. It was as if Logan had pulled the stars to our level. "That's better," he said with some relief. quieter. "Logan, why all this?" I asked. "And please, don't say it's to impress me. I don't think I can handle that again." Days. You gotta understand, I forgot all about you. Flatterer. I ain't kidding. After Louisville, I went back to Europe as a soldier of fortune. Me and that bastard Victor Creed who fought in the Battle of Brittany. We did our job, but I took a Mauser round to the head. He pointed to an unblemished spot on his forehead where a bullet could not exist on any living being. Made me forget everything all over again, damn it. Had to build a new life, but your scent, just now, Days, it brought everything back. I'm whole again, don't you see? The memories I make with you, they're indelible. I felt faint. You ready to make some more memories, Days? Was I ever? Even his kisses were rough. Leathery lips buffeted my own mouth, clearing way for a probing tongue so fervid it practically scalded my own. His hands clawed at my expensive drop-waist Chanel. I pushed Logan away and leaned back against a chimney, spreading my thighs ever so. Hint taken, he dropped to his knees. Thank the fates for step-out bloomers. Ducking his hirsute head under my dress, he set to giving my orchid a masterful tending. He approached it as a curious kitten might, dabbing playfully with his nose and testing me with the tip of his tongue. Then he brought his fingers into play, caressing my flowers' engorged petals with gentle but knowing insistence. It was in this that Logan held sway over me in a way no other man could. He was truly the best at what he did. And what he did was ever so nice. I grabbed the two cowlicks of dark hair that perked up above his ears like some predator's horns and pulled them towards me, mashing his rough countenance harder against my blazing garden. It brought a shudder that I feared would shake my form apart. "Logan!" I gasped, finishing to the sounds of the city. "I'm not likely to forget that, darling." I turned towards the chimney, hiked my Chanel, and looked back with the slyest of smirks, offered him his choice of new memories. He returned my smile and undid his cummerbund. It unbuckled with a loud crack. That crack seemed to undo a spigot in his forehead. I screamed before I even saw the bullet hole. Another second before Logan collapsed to the ground. Suddenly, a hulking figure stepped from the shadows to fill the space Logan had fallen from. A beast in a filthy coat, every grinning tooth filled to the gristly saber. That's enough screaming for one night, don't you think, girlie? I recognized him from Logan's descriptions. It was Victor Creed, Logan's fellow soldier of fortune. "Sorry to shoot your boyfriend in the head," he gestured with his smoking Luger. "But I need him for another job overseas, and I'd just as soon not have to tie him down. Besides, how much do you really know about him? That he can't be killed? Stab him! Shoot him! It all grows back. Except memories. And let's not forget these." He mashed his foot on Logan's right hand and twisted it. With a wet sound, 3 2-foot claws popped through the bony ridges above Logan's knuckles, glistening with blood. He was more animal than I ever knew. "Betcha your little Wolf Marine never used those in the boudoir," he snorted. "Why don't you go home with your husband and forget this?" I stumbled, terrified, through the party like a madwoman before collapsing into Tom's arms. I never ventured east of the Mississippi again. Logan and I both strove for memory, he to recapture old ones, and I to erase mine. In that, we both failed. I would always remember that night on the roof of the plaza, and he, my beloved Wolf Marine, would never be lost.